Cerchio, and Bob is the vice president, or I should say the vice person in charge of the River Campus, and he does an excellent job for any of our River Campus patrons. But Bob has a long career in the entertainment business. He basically spent 30 years over in Carbondale and came to Cape about 8 years ago. And for those of you who enjoy going to the River Campus, know that he and his staff are doing just a wonderful job. So let's give him a warm Rotary welcome, Mr. Bob Cerchio.
First of all, I'd like to thank Steve for inviting me. Don't tell any of the other types of organizations out there, but Rotary is probably my favorite. I've always marveled at the work that you folks do for the community, and it's really, really impressive. And being at a university, we're supposed to serve the community, and it's nice to see that there are other organizations which work just as hard as us, or maybe even harder. Don't tell the president I said that. I am the assistant director of the Earl and Margie Collins School of Visual and Performing Arts. And any of you businessmen that have to put a signature block under your letter can sympathize with me that I've got to type that every time I write a letter. But River Campus was, as you know, a dream of the university for many years. It took 9 years to build the River Campus. There were some missteps and detours along the way, but after 9 years, it became a reality. We are located in the old St. Vincent's property. The Vincentians wanted someone to take over that old building. It's 160 plus years old. They wanted somebody to come in and maintain the educational purpose of the facility. It was a seminary for a long time. It was a boys' preparatory school, and there's not a day that goes by that somebody doesn't come, well, not a week goes by, that somebody doesn't stop by and tell us that they went to school there, that they were one of the brothers that worked there. I had a man one time knock on my door of my office and said, "Is this your office?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he said, "Well, I used to sleep in this room." And I said, "Well, I have taken over." So we have taken that old building. If you have not been in that building, I encourage you to visit it. The outside has been maintained perfectly to its original architectural design. There were some difficulties because over the years, before it was a historic structure, the Vincentians would change it, would add something, would change the style of let's say, a porch or an entrance. And when they were renovating it, they had to figure out which one of the styles would be the best and most historically accurate. And so they did a lot of research to keep that building looking just exactly the way it did for many, many, many years. They took out the swimming pool, and they took out the gymnasium, but pretty much everything else they kept. For those of you that may not know about the River Campus, it houses the departments of music, the Department of Theater and Dance, the Department of Art, and the museum, the regional museum. If you have not seen the museum, I have to put a plug in for the museum. It has a historical room which is called the Crossroads Gallery, and it describes Cape Girardeau as a crossroads city, which we are. We're a gateway city. The bridge is our arch, okay? And the bridge marks the demarcation point of the travel west, crossing the Mississippi, and the gallery in the museum shows the history, crossroads of history, crossroads of religion, crossroads of culture, crossroads of agriculture and industry, how all of these things have converged and spread out from Cape Girardeau. This is truly, truly a pivotal city it was in the settlers' movement to the west. St. Louis, I'll give it its due, but we also have Cape Girardeau. So that's a fantastic gallery that shows you the history of Cape Girardeau in a way that you may never have seen before. So the museum is there, and then we also, the Department of Art has a small art gallery where they show art exhibits for their students, their faculty, and visiting artists from all over. So there's a lot of the visual arts there. Everybody thinks River Campus is just shows and musicals and all that, which we are, but there's also a lot of the visual arts, the things that you enjoy with your eyes more than with your ears. Now, then we have the Department of Theater Dance, and Theater Dance presents their own shows. They do 6 major performances a year. 2 are Broadway musicals, and I've passed around a little brochure, and I'm going to have to get one because I always forget. I'm getting to that age where if you tell me something, it's good for about 12 seconds, and then it's not there anymore. The Department of Theater and Dance is doing 2 musicals next year. I'll try not to move for you, Karen. Legally Blonde, which is a very, very funny musical, highly recommended, and also Peter Pan. And they're going the whole 9 yards with Peter Pan. Peter will be flying. He's going to be, so it's the whole Peter Pan story. It's a wonderful, wonderful musical, one of the most popular musicals ever done on Broadway. And these are all performed by our students, students of the Department of Theater Dance, the musicians, the pit orchestra is students and faculty, and so it is a wonderful local production and lots to do for everybody. They also are doing 2 what we call straight plays, which means a play with no music, where there's no singing, and one is Orpheus Descending, and the other is Brighton Beach Memoir. And Brighton Beach Memoirs is one of the Neil Simon trilogy. He did Broadway Bound, BB, Broadway Bound, Brighton Beach, BB, and Biloxi Blues, BB. That's Neil Simon, the famous comedic playwright. And so that trilogy is being done this year at the River Campus. That's Brighton Beach Memoir. And then there's going to be 2 dance concerts, and these are, again, our students. 1 concert in the fall, 1 concert in the spring, and if you've ever trained for a sport, football, basketball, nothing compared to what you have to, how much you have to train and the physicality of dance, because it's just you on the field, and you are the person that has to do the physical moves to create the story. So that's the Theater and Dance Department, those 6 performances. They also do some smaller performances, which are called the Second Stage Series. That's not listed in here. It's more experimental theater, and some of those are really kind of like workshop performances, academic performances. So we don't put those on the big series, but those things are also out there. And then we have the Department of Art. They have shows in their gallery all year long. If you've ever, how many here have ever been in an art department, either in a high school or an elementary school? And you know, you walk down the halls and you see all this stuff on the walls. Yeah, we have a hallway that is about at least the length of this room. It's all bulletin board. It's all bulletin board, and you go down, and every week there's more stuff posted down there, works that the students are doing. It's not an exhibit per se, but it's a place where you can go and you can see how the students are doing in their art. And what's really wonderful is I get the privilege of going down and seeing what the freshman student is doing, and then the next year I'll go see that same student, what they've done as a sophomore, then as a junior and a senior. And it's wonderful to see how their ability to draw and create in visual arts changes over that time. Same thing in the performing arts. The performers, the singers, and dancers, they all get better as they go through. And it's really a wonderful thing to watch, and I really, really enjoy it. And feel free to come by the River Campus and walk by and look at these things anytime you want. We're always happy to see you. Now, the other series, another series we have is the Symphony Series. And I don't know, I know there's some people here that know that we have a symphony in Cape Girardeau, the Southeast Missouri Symphony Orchestra. And that symphony orchestra is doing 5 performances next year. And then, on their series, we are adding a performance by the St. Louis Symphony. Now, St. Louis Symphony is only about the 3rd best orchestra in the United States. 3rd, 4th, 2nd, 3rd, somewhere in there. We are very, very lucky that we live this close to St. Louis. The St. Louis Symphony has a very good working relationship with us. Their artists appear on all kinds of programs at the university. they'll come and do little recitals. They will appear as soloists with the symphony. David Halen, who is their concertmaster, is actually performing on a performance with our symphony orchestra this year. But then, in addition to that, we were lucky enough to get St. Louis Symphony coming in October for a performance. And this is the St. Louis Symphony. This isn't a small group. This isn't a cut down group. This is the full orchestra. And they will be part of the symphony series this year. And then we get to my favorite part of the program, which is the shows that I book. I was at SIU for 30 years, where I booked performances into Shryock Auditorium. I don't know if you've ever been there, 1,200-seat facility. And I booked major Broadway musicals and plays and ballet and opera and symphony and all that stuff there. After 30 years, I had enough, and I figured I'd come down here and to this little college and have an easy time. I've never worked harder in my life. But my program there is called the Touring Series, and this year it's 6 performances and 1 special event off the series. The performances are Broadway musicals. We have The Man of La Mancha, and I don't know if you know what that is, but that's Don Quixote, the man that would fight windmills, and it is his story, and it's done as a Broadway musical. It's one of the most beautiful, beautiful musicals I've ever seen. I had the privilege of seeing it on Broadway many, many years ago. And this touring company is a New York-based company. The touring shows that we bring here are top professionals in the field. This same show will perform in St. Louis, Chicago, Los Angeles, Houston, Dallas, East Coast, and all the major cities in between, and a few universities along the way. And we're one of those universities that has the wherewithal to present these types of shows in our hometown. So The Man of La Mancha is one of the musicals we're doing, and the second one is West Side Story. And, okay, it's West Side Story. Everybody knows West Side Story. It is one of the classic Broadway musicals ever done. It's absolutely going to be a stunning, stunning performance. We're very, very pleased we were able to get that this year. And then, see, now I got to look at the rest. The rest of the series consists of a program called, they put me in here, I know, Gypsy Romance. Gypsy Romance is a Hungarian troupe that comes in and does the music, costumes, and dance of Hungary. And we try to do one of these international groups every year. And every year when we do one, for example, this year, I know somebody's going to come up to me and say, my grandfather was born in Hungary, and I've seen these kinds of dances my whole life, and this is a fantastic representation. And that's what you get. You get these high kicks, you get these ensembles, swirling. The costumes are absolutely stunning. And you know, the first time I saw one of these, I went, I don't know, am I going to like it? But you get caught up in it. You really, really do. It is really an amazing way. Well, imagine if you had a performance of country music. Even if you weren't a fan, after a while, you begin to get into it. And the same thing is going to be true of Gypsy Romance. It's a really, really beautiful ensemble. And our international company for the year. We have New Dance Horizons. Now that's modern dance. And our modern dance program also does modern dance, so also does this type of dance. But this company is out of St. Louis, and this is Dance St. Louis, which is the premier dance organizer in St. Louis. And what they do is they go and they find the top St. Louis dance companies, 3 or 4 of them before this year, and then they find international choreographers. The choreographer comes in and designs the dance for each of those individual companies. They come down here, they drive down from St. Louis on a bus, they pull in, their technicians come in the morning and hang our lights and do our sound and everything. And then what you're seeing is the top dance companies from St. Louis, each doing really, really original work on our stage here. And they do this all over the Midwest. Any place they can reach in a day by bus. So they go to Columbia, they go east into Illinois, and they come down here to Cape Girardeau and do this performance for us called New Dance Horizons. It's the second year we've done it. It was very, very nice last year. We have the Russian National Ballet doing Giselle. How many people here know what Giselle is? Could you explain it? Because I don't.
Giselle is set in medieval times. It has great conflict in it. The music is tremendous. It's been 40 years since I saw it, but it was my first ballet. And the most amazing thing was, I'm trying to remember the dancer that was friend of Jackie Kennedy, the Russian dancer. He was performing the major role in it, yes.
Oh, okay.
And the strangest thing, which I don't think they'll do this time, they actually had a hawk on his arm when they went out hunting. I don't think you'll see that.
No, no. They may have a stuffed hawk, but I don't think they'll have a lot. But, so, and the reason I don't know the ballet is it's not often done. People do Romeo and Juliet, and they do the Nutcracker, and they do all these very, very popular ballets. And Giselle, I've never seen it. It's a love story. It's a very, very beautiful ballet. And we bring in these Russian companies, and these are Russian dancers doing Russian dance, Russian music, and no one does it any better than these folks. It's really, really amazing people. One other event I want to tell you about is a thing called Sound of Christmas. And Sound of Christmas is kind of loosely based on Sound of Music, kind of like. It is the granddaughter of Maria and Baron von Trapp. Everybody ever hear of Sound of Music? That family was Maria and Baron von Trapp that fled Nazi Germany. This is their granddaughter. She sings guitar, plays guitar, and she is appearing with a brass ensemble. It's a Christmas program, Sound of Christmas, and the daughter of the Von Trapp family, the granddaughter. And I've seen video of her performance. It's a really, really pretty, very nice Christmas program. If you want to bring the family to something, please feel free to bring them to Sound of Christmas with Elizabeth Von Trapp. Very, very nice program. I can't go into all the other stuff. We have faculty recitals, we have student recitals, we have the Wind Symphony, we have the Jazz Band. Jazz Band does 3 fantastic programs this year. And we have all of these other things. There are so many things going on at River Campus that it's very difficult for me to find empty dates to put the touring shows. It really is. And there's some shows that I have to say no to because our schedule is so full. If you can't find a piece of entertainment at the River Campus, well, I guess you're not looking. That's the kind of programming we do there. We love bringing it in for the people of Cape Girardeau. We love the fact that you don't have to drive to St. Louis to see this stuff. You don't have to deal with the traffic, the 2-hour trip, the parking, the cost of a meal up there. We love the fact that we bring this right here to Cape Girardeau. The same events that are occurring in St. Louis, we're bringing here, and more, even more produced. So that's what I do in a day. I also make sure that the paper towel dispenser is there's also that kind of stuff part of my job. But that's not very exciting, so I don't usually talk very much.
Bob, you were talking with me about the support here versus Carbondale. Talk a little about that.
Oh, okay, it's on video. Okay. Well, I came from Carbondale. I was there 30 years. And the thing that amazed me when I came to Cape Girardeau, if you walk throughout the River Campus, you will see a plaque on every room. My office has a plaque. Someone made a donation to help build the River Campus. I saw a cockroach the other day with a plaque on it. So pretty much everything is There are, honey, is that yours? Yeah, that's Steve. But
That's all.
I came here and was just amazed. You know, it's one thing to say that you help your alma mater, you contribute to your alma mater. But here, it goes beyond just a simple contribution. The people, I was amazed, the people in this community just really support the idea of the River Campus. They support the students. They want the students to succeed. Many of these people have gone to Southeast and graduated from there and understand the importance of this type of university in this kind of community, a rural community. When I was at SIU, I have to tell you, SEMO was this little college down there. And I came here to work here, and I found out it's this big college down here. It is. The programs that are here, that are offered, the support that the people of the community give, really surprised me when I came here. And as I tell people, I was 30 years in another university. I'm kind of glad I ended up down here, because this is a fantastic place to work. I came from a university that had the arts, but I came here, and they didn't just have the arts. They wanted the arts. They are enthusiastic about the arts. I work in a place where I do what I do, and they support me. They more than support me, they encourage me. We're building a new building. We've been open a little over 6 years. We're adding a building. In academic circles, that is unheard of. First of all, we renovated an old building and built a new building, opened 7 years ago. And all of a sudden, now we're building a third building on this campus. It shows the university's commitment to the School of Visual and Performing Arts. It shows the community commitment, because the funds for this building are being generated through bonds. So people have to buy it and support buy those bonds. It's an investment, but it's still it's money that people have to give. And it is going to enlarge, and people think, oh, you're going to have more theaters. No, we're going to have more classrooms. We've got a new symphony rehearsal hall, symphony and choir, going to have a rehearsal hall, a new directing, an acting studio, a new dance studio, new individual practice rooms, new what are called sectional rooms, where the rooms are large enough so that the brass players of the orchestra need to rehearse, they can go into a sectional room. They can just rehearse. Or the string players can rehearse, or the woodwinds can rehearse. So those are all new. And then in addition to that, they are putting in a 188-bed residence hall. I'm not allowed to say dormitory. I have to say residence hall. But 188 students will have the opportunity to sleep until 30 seconds before their class, roll out of bed, trundle down the stairs, and go to the classroom. They're going to be right there. And I can't tell you how many kids I've talked to. And it's not only that. Our campus is open 24/7. If you're a student, you have a key card. That key card opens the buildings, gets you in them, gets you into the practice spaces, or into the art spaces. So if you're an art student and you're working on painting, or you're working on print, and you didn't get it done during the day, fancy that, you can go in at 2 o'clock in the morning and you'll see this. Touch your card, enter your code, you're in the building, go up to your print studio, touch the card, enter your code, and you're in. Our students have 24/7 access throughout the semester, so that, because you can study history at home, but you can't pull a print. You can't practice your trumpet in your apartment unless you want to be evicted. So you go to the River Campus, practice anytime that it strikes you. And it's a really, really wonderful place to see these kids having the freedom to do their art unobstructed. It's really good. So it's been a real awakening for me coming to this community and seeing nice. You already asked the question.
What was the most interesting organization or event you ever booked, and why was it the most interesting?
Oh, I could go many different things.
Well, just one.
Just one.
Yeah, just pick one.
Let me tell you about the worst experience I ever had.
Okay.
When I was at SIU, I also booked shows into the arena. And one of the shows I booked, a long time ago, a professional in the industry said, don't just book what you like, book for your audience. I've learned to do that. Well, this was a rap concert. It was Ludacris and Ja Rule. And Ludacris was opening and Ja Rule was the headliner. And a half hour before Ludacris was set to go on, we found out that Ja Rule was sitting on an airplane in the airport in Columbus and flipping it off the ground, which meant that he wasn't going to be there. He was the headliner. So we went to Ludacris and we said, go do your opening act. Just play as long as you like. And then we announced after he came off the stage, he played for a little over an hour. And then we announced that Ja Rule wasn't coming. And then we gave everybody their money back. We paid Ludacris. We paid the sound company, we paid the lighting company, we paid the caterer, we did all the marketing and the advertising, but because the headliner did not perform, we had to give it all the money. Couldn't give half the money. We had to give all the money. It depleted our excess that we had built up in the arena over the years, and we never really fully recovered. But it's one of those things that happen. And then Ludacris had the audacity to say, well, I played 70 minutes. I was only contracted to play 50 minutes, so I want more money. And we said, thank you very much. We appreciate your donation. That was one of my money was terrible. But I booked Marcel Marceau. I booked B.B. King, Ray Charles, Bob Cerchio, Count Basie. Count Basie was so old that he was on a scooter. And he got off the tour bus and he was on the and we did not at that time have a way to get to the stage with a wheelchair. This was before ADA and all these regulations. So he had to get on the stage. But that high, the loading dock was that high, and we had a ramp, but it would still be too steep. So we took a platform and we set it out from the loading dock here, and we put the ramp from the ground to the platform, and he zipped up on his little scooter, stopped. Then the stage crew picked up the ramp, moved it around, put it from the platform to the stage, and he zipped up on the stage, and he said, only at a university. And that's how he got on stage, and that's how he got off stage. And that was Count Basie, and that was the year before he passed away. Very pleased that it was a great show. Great show. Yes, sir.
Did our Rotary Club have lunch at the river campus and then you take a tour? Take us on a tour?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to do that sometime? All right. You got my card? You know how to get in touch with me, Steve? I would love to have a little. Absolutely. Now the only thing is, you need to use chart wells. Okay.
Okay.
And let me tell you something. They do a good job. So,
We're well connected with Tim. He'll be glad.
Mr. Weatherly, yes, I know.
He'll be glad. Bob, I've not heard one word said about the business side and how the River Campus has done financially. You got something,
Well, the River Campus is part of the academic wing of the university. When I was at SIU, I had a freestanding building that was its own entity, and it provided services to the university, but it was not a part of the academic program. This one is. So all of the maintenance and all of the logistical things that go on there are, the cost of that is borne by the university. Now, I'll give you another example. The Show Me Center is what's called a service enterprise. It's an auxiliary. It's a separate entity. They have a budget. They have to make so much money, and they have to pay their own electricity. The university, the electricity at the River Campus is part of the university, and I do not get electricity. So, financially, how are we doing? Our ticket sales the first year were up here. We sold everything out. Okay, so they're up here. Second year, tab. The newness had worn off. We knew this would happen. But then every year since then, we have gradually increased. A lot, 2 to 3% a year. Now, the revenue from The touring program supports the touring program. The revenue from the theater and dance shows supports the theater and dance performances. The professors are all paid, they're all university salary people. I'm a salaried employee of the university, so, but if I hire extra stage technicians to come in and work the show, I've got to generate that money to pay for them. So financially, in the academic area, it's functioning as it always has. The touring program is the one that has to generate enough revenue. That's why when you see the theater and dance department do a performance, it's $20. But when I bring in a touring show, it's $35 or $39 or $40 because the cost of a touring show can be between $25,000 and $35,000. That's for them to get off the bus. Then I have to do all the lights, the sound, the stage crew, and all of that. So it can be very, very expensive, and that's why those tickets are. And I've had people say, why should I pay $35 for a touring show when I can see the same show? And theater dance did Annie last year. Everybody see it? It was fantastic. They did a fantastic job. But I'm sorry, the touring shows are a little bit better. I just don't say that.
I wanted to ask you about, I'm just blown away. Of course, I'm not an art guy like you are, but I'm just saying, I'm amazed at the quality of the student productions.
Yeah. The first production I saw here was 42nd Street, and it was in the Rose. Now let me tell you something about the Rose Theater. The Rose Theater is a nice little theater, and I read the press releases on the Rose when it was built. This is a state-of-the-art institution. It is as good as any theater in the country. And then, 30 years later, it shows its age. The backdrop for 42nd Street has a circle and it has a lady in a very, very skimpy costume kind of sitting there on this perch. And they rented the original Broadway backdrop to put, as the main curtain for the show. But the top, about 15% of it was cut off because the Rose Theater was such a small stage. But they did the show, the singing, the acting, the dancing, all the music was all top notch. Now we have a hall that the symphony sounds. Symphony used to perform in academic auditorium. The symphony was so big and the stage in academic was so small that they could not fit on the stage. So they would take the front 20 rows of seats out and put the orchestra in the audience area and then sell the rest of the seats. Except that when you do that, all the sound just goes up and out and there's no focus to it. Well, then we moved into the Bedell Performance Hall. We have an acoustic shell that surrounds the orchestra, top, three sides. It's like this. It pushes the sound. It solidifies the sound. I don't know if the orchestra got any better when they came to River Campus, but they sure sounded better. So the talent is there, and the facilities to support the talent. That's really an important thing. And I don't know if y'all know, but the number of majors in the visual performing arts has doubled since when they announced they were going to build the River Campus. Students and parents of the students that are out there, they see a university investing in a program that their child is going to go into, and they understand that's going to be an important program. So even before we turned a spade to dirt, once it was announced that we were going to build the River Campus, the interest built, people started coming and investigating the campus, and I'll tell you, the best selling point for this, one of the best selling points for this school is the River Campus. People are so pleased, and we try to take really good care of it. We really do. Keep it operating just as best we can. You'll notice they're building a new building now, but they're also putting in, let's talk about hitting people where they live. We're putting in a new restroom. When they built the building, they ran out of money. The only restroom on the second floor, which is half the size, half of our audience sits on the second floor, there was one room. It was a gender-neutral restroom. That means one commode. All right? on the second floor. So everybody had to trundle downstairs to use the restroom. We are now putting a new restroom facility on the second floor over the convocation center, which is where you'll have your lunch. But it's out of order for this semester until they build this. They're putting it on top of it, and they got to do the roof steel. So it's a major project. And the university continues, as I said, to update and upgrade the facility to meet the needs. That's really great. That's the nice thing about working here. So, any other questions?
Let me ask you, if the Rotary group would like to come down and see one of the touring performances, which one would you recommend for us to come?
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the hard sell for you. And this isn't on the touring series. It is a special event. It is called, and let me tell you something, it's the only show I've ever booked. At the end of the show, and I've booked it at SIU twice, everybody that walked out of that theater was smiling at the end of the show. It's Mr. Jack Daniels' original silver cornet band. It is based on the original band that Mr. Jack Daniels of Lynchburg, Tennessee, the guy that owns the distillery, he funded a community band back at the turn of the century, the turn of the last century, by the way, not this past one. And that's before there was TV and movies and all that stuff, and towns would have their own entertainment. People would come together and create their own groups to entertain the town folks. And he funded a silver cornet band. And a cornet it's like a trumpet, but it is a much more mellow, beautiful sounding instrument. And he funded this band in Lynchburg, Tennessee, turn of the century. This is a recreation of that band. And there's a gazebo on the stage just like you would have in the town square. And the old professor comes out, and he is the host. And this is, you think it's just a small, these are nationals from Nashville. These are Nashville musicians, some of the best musicians in the country are out of Nashville. And they bring these guys together. It is not just brass, it is a full band. It's got percussion, it's got xylophone, it's got a trap set, the whole 9 yards. It is a wonderful, wonderful show. It's kind of like, I remember one of the jokes was, the professor said, I got a note here from Tom down at the general store, and he's having a sale. Oh, Tom, your handwriting's not real good. It's either onion sets or union suits. I can't tell which, but he's having a sale. And it's that kind of down-home, old-town humor, talks to you about the town, the people in the town, talks about the band, talks about the music, and has nothing to do with whiskey. There have been towns where they could not put a newspaper, dry municipalities where they didn't allow alcohol. They couldn't run a newspaper ad because it said Mr. Jack Daniels and said it was advertising alcohol. So nothing to do with alcohol, but does have a lot to do with this history of these small towns. So really, that's the one I really would recommend. It's just a wonderful show. Thank you.